What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Purple and Gold Bars. I'm your host, Supreme. Just a quick Friday night football talk stream today. Mostly just showing off some new tools and toys. But mostly, yeah, so let's get right into it. Quick story time. There was supposed to be a couple videos for bye week come out this week for our defense, as well as particularly Ivan Pace Jr., because that's been on the docket for a while. But in the setup of the studio, I had some technical difficulties this week, and I'm actually running my backup computer, so I have to get that all sorted out. So it put a little bit of a hiccup into my production this week, but that's why we're going to do a makeshift episode today of just some football talk, and go over some things that you guys might be thinking about going into this week as in a bye week, right? So let's start with Ravens Commanders. Who's excited for this? I am pumped. Oh, my guy Zoe is in the building. Let me get a freaking horn for you, my brother. But yeah, so I am pumped for this game. Face off between Lamar Jackson and then Jaden Daniels. Some interesting headlines I saw today where Jaden Daniels was quoted as saying, "I don't want to be the next anyone, I want to be Jaden Daniels." So it's a pretty cool mindset to have. I love his work ethic, his ability to play football, to create plays, and he's a pretty accurate thrower of the ball so far. So hopefully he continues to on an upward trajectory. He's facing a hell of an opponent this week in the Ravens with Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, and them boys over there. Oh my goodness, these guys are coming, but it's still going to be a pretty good game. I've always had my concerns, I've had my concerns with the Washington Commanders secondary and defense in general, but they've been showing continued growth week to week, even though it's here and there, it's been spotty, but overall they've been showing growth. So in the same regard that I look at my Vikings and their development and their growth as an upward trend, I'm going to continue. I'm going to use the same train of thought and philosophy with the Commanders, and to me, they are looking spectacular. And if they continue to improve and maybe pick up some guys in for at the trade deadline here, maybe to shore up that defense, they might be able to get some valuable playoff experience this year. But first, they have to make it through this game. This is going to be a big test for them. Lamar Jackson is not going to be taking it easy on him. Especially, I imagine if I was Lamar, I would be like, well, this guy's being compared to me. I'm one of one. And truly, Lamar Jackson is 101. He's not Michael Vick. He's really no one else. He's Lamar Jackson. He's incredible. He's half man, half amazing. His intuition with the ball when running the ball. I wish he would take less hits or choose to drop the shoulder a lot less. But that comes from his competitive nature, and you can't dog him for that. So he's coming in. This team, both these guys got a lot to prove. Lamar definitely wants to set himself apart in his unique level, which I agree that he is deserving of his own level. And Jaden Daniels is trying to create something for himself. And so far, man, after 5 weeks, Jaden Daniel has proven that he is a franchise quarterback. I'll keep repeating it till the day I die. He is a franchise quarterback. So, really good game. Let's look at the slate of games coming up this week. Any other matchups that anybody else? Paul, welcome to the stream. That game's gonna save my second. That's wild, man. That game's gonna be lit. But yeah, any other games? Other games that we got on the docket. Let's see what we got. We got Jacksonville and Chicago. Interesting matchup. We got two teams that, to start the season, everything was negative when it came to Caleb Williams and his development, the Chicago Bears, their coaching, their state of their O-line. There's so many things outside of their defense that were just heavily criticized. And we're through 5 weeks. In the last 2-3 weeks, they've shown continued growth. And the Bears are where I thought they would be later in the season. I thought there would be a lot more ups and downs to start the season, and they've already looked to show some growth. So all the power to the Chicago Bears and what they're doing over there in Caleb Williams. And then you got Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars with something to prove. Every single game that they lose, the scrutiny, the pressure is on for that organization, their management, their coaching staff. The last couple weeks, they've done enough to stave off any firings or anything like that. But I honestly would have bet that the Jaguars would have ended up firing their head coach before the Jets did. That was quite the shock with this week's big news, I guess you could say. Oh, yes, perfect. So then, so it's going to be a good two up-and-coming chippy teams that got a lot to prove, and that's going to be a good game. Houston, New England, I think might be a little bit better than people think. There's a lot of potential in that defense. They've shown flashes, and a couple players on their defense are playing really, really well to start the year. So they might surprise the Houston Texans. I still think the Houston Texans are still going to win by probably 10 points. But I think the game will be a lot closer than people will think. It's not going to be a blowout, in my opinion. It's going to be an interesting game to see what Drake May does in his first start. A wild decision by the Patriots organization to throw him out there against that defense. Although they are still a little bit of a work in progress when it comes to their chemistry and executing their schemes at a high level. They're still loaded with talent. So they got a good secondary with a young rookie corner that's doing pretty decent. And their pass rush can be lights out. We know as Vikings fans, because one of their pass rushers or their highlight guy is Daniil Hunter, one of our ex-Vikings, right? So excellent game. Arizona, Green Bay, a bit of a trap game for Green Bay, but I expect this one to end in either potentially going to overtime or maybe in the final drive. Not entirely sure how that's going to go. I haven't really given it too much thought about it, but it's going to be a really good game. Yeah, like as I was saying, I basically blew up a computer so I've been stressed out to say the least this week. Tampa Bay, New Orleans, a nice little fix-up game for Baker Mayfield. And I believe Spencer Rattler is going to be starting that game. I think there's some injuries with Derek Carr. TP, what's going on, buddy? Man, thanks, man. I've been trying to level up, man, as much as I can. But yeah, that might be an interesting game too. A little bit might be some fun sections of the game, but I feel there's going to be a lot of dysfunction there on New Orleans, so it might end up turning into a blowout there for Baker and the boys. Cleveland and Philadelphia. Philadelphia, man, what a weird situation to be in, because they got all the talent in the world. I don't know. I haven't caught up with injuries this week. It is a bye week, and I've been trying to focus on other stuff, but they've been so dysfunctional this year to start the... What the hell, man? Sorry about that. So they should, theoretically, on paper, they should have a way better record than they have. So they're looking to kind of continue righting the ship, because they're 2-2 right now, going in against the lowly Cleveland Browns with that dumpster fire that's going on. That's a dumpster fire everywhere. So that should be, man, if that's a close game, I'm going to be very shocked for those Eagles fans, because that's embarrassing. Indiana, Tennessee, a little bit of a toilet bowl going on there. Not much to expect. Both offenses, Indianapolis will probably take it, just because Joe Flacco with his craftiness, and he's going to be a little bit better than I think Will Levis will be. Chargers at Denver. Man, Denver Broncos. What an up and coming defense they got going on here. In a year or two, they might be something to contend with. Lots of good things going on down there. So I think it's going to be a slow scoring, old school, drag down, beat 'em up football game between those two guys. Jim Harbaugh's coming in there against Sean Payton, and it's just going to be quite the, if you're into defensive games, this is going to be the game for you this week. Pittsburgh, Las Vegas, another situation where Pittsburgh should definitely be taking this. They got the better coaching, they got the better system. Even though Justin Fields struggled and they didn't win last week, I feel like they're still going to be able to beat the Raiders, because there's really nothing too exciting going on with them. Atlanta and Carolina, probably a blowout, but Kirk Cousins definitely likes to play down to his opponent, so I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being just a one-score game, or even winning it with a field goal as time expires. The classic Kirk Cousins win out of the freaking Falcons this week. Detroit and Dallas. That one's going to be another fire game. So this weekend, me and Zoe are going to be live streaming the Commanders and Ravens game. So tap in, join us for that. We're going to be hanging out. We're going to do our best to do some play-by-play and just kind of give you guys our thoughts as we go through the game, but mostly just kind of hang out. Like we're hanging out with the boys on the couch. So don't forget to hit that notify me option on that video whenever you get a chance. Hit that like and subscribe to both our channels whenever you get a chance to as well. And then Detroit and Dallas, that's another one that we're going to be going for. So let's move on. I'm going to move on to some clip review. Which one is? Let's go here. Let's switch it over. And I really got to decorate that wall, so bear with me for that one. So we're gonna do a quick big shout out to everybody in the chat: Zoe, Paul, TP. If you guys are still here, thanks for hanging out. We're gonna do a quick reaction to Nick's tears, because this is just always a good, fun dumpster fest to make fun of and laugh at.
Last night,
so let's give him
hat store. A committee of professional rivals, analysts,
wannabe gumshoes fought and toiled and burned the midnight oil to deliver the best segment in all of sports. It's an honor and a privilege to again present Nick's tears.
Thank you so much. For the wonderful introduction, as always, Kevin Wildes. And as mentioned at the top of the show, today's tears have a bit of a somber tone.
Oh, yeah.
Twofold. One is because, as you'll see from some of the tier names, the committee is not impressed with the quality of play and quality of teams overall in the NFL thus far this year. But also, we had our first two eliminations of the year. So let's go ahead and show the two eliminated teams, the Patriots and the Panthers. Last It's playing great. NFC playoff morass. All 5 teams are 3-2. All 5 teams have a few things you really like, and a few things you're like, that's not going to work. But at least 3 of this line, maybe 4, are making the playoffs.
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to go through them all one by one, but they're all kind of, despite this not being the standings, it's coincidental. They all have the same record and they're all in the same line. All right, this is for Kevin Wildes. The committee made me name this tier list. Sorry, not sorry. Oh, but they're a combined 4-11. Doesn't matter. The Niners' pedigree and number of Avengers, and the fact that the Bengals and Rams in recent history with the same coaches and the same quarterbacks and the same wide receivers played in a Super Bowl means we are going to give those teams the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. Right there. Sorry for muting in that last one. We got some learning, growing pains as we learn to stream and do all this at the same time. But I love how like Nick Wright is just like unapologetically either stupid or just throws his bias right in your face. I get it. San Fran pedigree. He just mentioned it. But the Bengals and the Rams, they're injured quite a bit. The Bengals are underachieving, if you want to call it to be like the most politically correct or whatever you want to say, or soft way to say it. They're struggling, right? So, but yeah, those guys to be ahead of teams that are actually doing well, teams that I would put ahead of the Bengals and the Rams right now. I would put the Giants ahead of them. I would put the Cardinals, the Steelers, the Broncos. Everybody in NFC playoff morass, I would put ahead of those guys. San Fran's a weird situation where because of even though their pedigree, I wouldn't get them in like I'd maybe rename quarterback quandary to something else and move San Fran in there with like holding pattern or something like that. Maybe I'd put where these guys are just holding because we're waiting for Anthony Richardson to heal up and then see if he can kind of turn the corner with his ability, with his injury proneness, see if he actually avoids hits and contact and starts cleaning up his turnovers, right? And then Tua, right? So they're all kind of holding, right? So I would get the Giants out of there. I would move San Fran down there. I'd move them on up. Just ridiculous. Like, and I get it. Like, these guys have either an incredible roster or guys that just make you just fawn over it. Like, I get it, man. Jamar Chase is incredible. Joe Burrow, a really, really nice gunslinger there. Matt Stafford, right? Like, there's a lot of stuff there. Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp, but they're injured. So they're not much without them. So to put them ahead of those guys just because they're going to be there later on in the season is kind of a disservice to all the teams that have worked hard to get where they are now, right? Because all that work is experience, regardless if it transitions into the midseason and the late season, they've still put in the hard work and they should be recognized for those things. So this is one of the many reasons why I think Nick Wright's a clown, because he likes to kind of like hedge his bets for later. So then later on he can say, oh, I was the only one that had faith in San Fran and the Bengals and the Rams. They still made the playoffs even though they squeak in and, all this stuff. So it's just pure nonsense.
As long as Matt Stafford is there, as long as Joe Burrow is there, as long as Nicky Bosa and Fred Warner and George Kittle and Trent Williams and Kyle Shanahan and all those guys are there, we're going to give them the benefit of the doubt. Next, incredibly fun, not sustainable. So now, by not sustainable, these teams, either one of them could absolutely make the playoffs. But for
make the playoffs.
Yeah, they could make the playoffs.
They're making
make the playoffs.
His ignorance or his bias right on his sleeve. You got to give him credit for either he really wants to be Skip Bayless, man. That is literally my take on Nick Wright for the last 4 years. He's been doing everything he can for every hot topic in sports. He always has to throw the wildest take that makes zero sense because he knew Skip Bayless was on the way out, and now he's gone, right? And so he's trying to be that mouthpiece, and this proves it right here. Literally, incredibly fun, not sustainable. What's not sustainable about the division that they're in right now, where everybody is fighting for it? So it's not secure. It's not like the Eagles are undefeated right now, and so are the Cowboys, and these guys, you know what I mean? Then there's actual competition. No, you know what I mean? Like, everybody's working on things. So to think that it's not sustainable for Washington is kind of mind-blowing to me, because of course they're going to have some ups and downs. There's going to be some teams that are going to try some things against Jaden Daniels, and he's going to struggle because he is a rookie and he hasn't seen these things yet. But he's still going to continue to show flashes, and for the games that he prepares well, like he has been, he's still going to perform extremely well. And as long as that defense holds up enough, and they just bend and they don't break, they could easily be a wild card game. At this team, they're 4-1, right? So they've already gotten a good chunk of games out of the way. And then we got the Vikings. I don't have to. At this point, the dominance, literally, the goalpost with Nick Rice has literally moved every week. And it's ridiculous to see how he continues to move the goalposts and then just hedges bets so that when the so-called pumpkin watch finally comes to an end, he can just kind of laugh and throw it in everybody's face. Unlike instead of looking at the actual facts, right? Like when we look at the defensive stats and we look at how the offense has been doing, this team, if you just go by the eye test, you put the first half of the Packers game on, you let somebody watch the Texans game, a brand new NFL viewer, they're gonna think, wow, this team is the best team, if not like the second best team in the league, just through the eye test alone. And that comes because of the hard work that this team has done in the offseason, all the defensive players that we've acquired over the offseason that are Brian Flores guys. I think it's so invaluable, the contributions that Van Ginkel has done for this team, because not only is he playing at a high level, he's also showing what it is to be a Brian Flores guy. So all these guys that were in training camp with him, the guys that were still there, and all the new players that came in, were able to absorb and learn through his example, and they just are all in sync. You can tell by the way they play on defense. The defense seems to be the most prepared and cohesive unit that we have. The offense is more than enough. And Sam Darnold, I think, has proven everything that we need to see. Even when when he struggles, we've won so far. So they say, what are we going to do when we face adversity, or when we have to do something like that? In the Green Bay game, we win. You know, what happens when you get punched in the mouth and Sam Darnold struggles? We win. So it's just laughable to me to think that at this point, with five wins already, with the strength of schedule that we have coming out, we can easily rattle off 10, 11 wins without even trying. And then even if at that point we're just already almost guaranteed, I don't know what the probabilities on that. It's got to be pretty high for us to make at least a wild card appearance. So this tier is just pure insanity in my opinion.
But are the Vikings going to be this both sides of the ball juggernaut? Of course not. Is all year long? Is Washington going to be able to continue to be an offense-only team when the offense is led by a rookie 190-pound quarterback? Probably not. But they are incredibly fun right now. What Minnesota's doing.
We saw it in 2022 with the Vikings, one-score games. So all offense, no defense, right? And as long as he's the dynamic playmaker that is able to pull out wins, I don't see why he can't sustain it.
Defensively, and what Justin Jefferson does and what Washington's doing week after week on offense, not long-term sustainable, but fun. relying on reputation. Listen, all three of these teams were better last year. But because of, for the first two, their coach, because of the last one, their quarterback, because we have seen these teams win double-digit games consistently. Green Bay, not double digits last year, but win a playoff game. The Lions last year, seemed to be on the ascent. You feel like they are more likely than not to get it right in kind of a topsy-turvy NFL. But thus far this year, none of these three teams have been wildly impressive on a week-to-week basis. The Bills obviously coming off two really, really tough losses. Wow, good teams, finally.
So the Lions, he just said, Nick Wright literally just said that they haven't been impressive at all. I'm pretty sure that after 3 weeks, everybody was talking like riding the high horse on Josh Allen and the Bills. Oh wow, even with Diggs gone, he's still doing it, right? Do you not remember, Nick? Like what's not computing? Like, do you forget? Like, yes, he had 2 bad weeks. He faced Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry that literally came out the gates like Conor McGregor versus Jose Aldo and just hammered them right off the bat. And he barely got up and he tried to finish the game and try to mount a comeback. Valiant attempt by Josh Allen. It only speaks to his fortitude, his mental capacity, and his will to win. But they probably should have played his backup for the rest of the game and kind of waved the white flag. But they still tried. And you know what? It sucks. And then last week, they play another top 5 team when it comes to roster and talent, and in the Texans, and they lose in a 1-score game at the end, and that's somehow not impressive just because the game plan didn't come to fruition like he expected. To Josh Allen to be Superman, go out there, pull a little bit of Cam Newton, pull out that Superman chest at times, and then throw some freaking Brett Favre in there and throws that crossbody, touchdowns, ill-advised passes, and then just run like a madman. What was he? And then have Big Ben stature in the pocket. Like, what did he expect? You know what I mean? Like, he just came out of a fight where he almost got knocked out, and he was still a little bit rattled, and he almost won that game. CJ Stroud and the Texans, incredible, right? So, weird statement to say. The Lions, I can't remember, but who was that guy that went 18 for 18, 3 touchdowns, 36 yards, some shit like that? I forget that guy's name. Jared Goff, right? The last time that when he played, when he wasn't on a bye week, what? So what happened? Just delusional. Green Bay, maybe the tier was named for Green Bay because that's the only one that really makes sense for this. Green Bay has been a little bit relying on reputation. They get another win this week, but it just kind of proves to their quality of coaching as well as their depth in roster, because they're able to squeak out a game in which they didn't look good, but they still won, right? The exact same ingredients of what a good, young, scrappy, talented roster should be doing, right? So I don't understand that. Baltimore Ravens, if you see my power rankings, they are third. So to me, they're in the top 3 for sure. So yeah, I would move the Vikings into the top beside the Chiefs, or he's going to have them here undefeated and unbothered, because they are, right? So very interesting to me. And we're going to switch over to... I want to remind everybody, because Acho made a good point after week 4, so let's watch that again.
Regardless of how good you think the Vikings are, they're better. Find a coaching staff outside of the Chiefs that you think is better than the combination of Kevin O'Connell and Brian Flores. Get this. They're first in passing touchdowns, and they are first in interceptions. They're a top 5 scoring offense and simultaneously a top 5 scoring defense. They lead the National Football League in sacks. Not only is Brian Flores a wizard, but his players are playing at a masterful level. C.J. Stroud, down and out. Brock Purdy, down and out. Jordan Love, down and out. Do y'all realize that the Vikings are dismantling some of the best quarterbacks in football? The Vikings are dismantling some of the best offenses in football. The Vikings are dismantling some of the best teams in football. I will say it one final time. Offenses beware. Teams beware. Because the Vikings, they not playing no games.
Let's turn the mic back on. Oh, there we go. So just a quick clip review. I didn't want to go too deep in here because I want to head over and jump in the chat with Zoe and the boys. We got a couple good live streams later on tonight. So like I said, today was just a quick video, just kind of more showing off and using the new toys that I got with for the live streaming portion of my content, right? So we'll still continue to do the scripted content just because it's a method, a method that I use to be able to produce content during the week. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. I guess that leaves us with maybe some Q&A or some hangout time. Zoe should be starting here. Paul, TP, anybody? Any quick questions before we sign off? Right on. No worries, just a couple lurkers, no big deal. Yeah, let me know in the comments what you guys thought about this new setup, these new streams, and I really gotta go kill this fly. It is driving me nuts. I have no idea how I got in here, and I'm about to freaking snap. So until next time, guys, I'll catch you guys later. Oh, let me go. We'll finish off with some. We will finish. Oh, that's right. And we'll finish strong. The fight song is
Vikings, let's win this game.